Let's start with the big fight that's coming up on July 19th. We'll talk about other fights during the course of this show, but let's start with Daniel Dubois, predominantly because you were down with Don Charles at their training camp, the Barn.
Yep.
What kind of mindset are you seeing exhibited from Daniel in the preparation for this fight?
Well, I'm down there frequently, actually, and what kind of mindset? Daniel Dubois has grown, not just as a fighter, but mentally as well. And I think that's the difference, Simon. When you look at, you know, his career performances in recent times and you see the improvements there, that's not just the physicalities that have improved, but the mental state of mind as well. And he truly believes in himself. You know, he knows where he went wrong against Alexander Usyk last time. He knows where the fight was won and lost, and they're going to correct that. They've got a great game plan going into this one. The strategy's perfect. If they can execute that, we're in for a serious fight for sure. But he's mentally in a really, really strong place.
You can also hear from Daniel that he's growing in confidence. He's getting older, getting wiser, and getting more comfortable in front of the media and getting more expressive. So to that point, let's hear from Daniel himself what he's got to say about the upcoming rematch.
When you saw him go over on the floor, he didn't seem to be one, he wasn't holding down below, he was holding his stomach more, but you saw his legs trembling.
Yeah.
How do you capitalise on that again if that situation happens again?
Listen, I know what I've got to do differently, and if that happened again, if he gets back up, I'll be ready for him. Whether it's fighting him, making it a brawl, whatever we have to do, we'll be ready for it. Never, you know, just lessons learned in that moment.
One of the things he said there was, if Usyk were to get knocked down and get up again, this time he'd be ready. I mean, why wasn't he, in your mind, ready for that in the first fight?
I think as a heavyweight, he boxed Usyk, I think he was 25 the first time. I can only speak from my experience. At 25, I was a kid. I think heavyweights at 25, Mike Tyson aside, they're all kids. Look at Lennox Lewis at 25, then look at him again at 35. He was twice the size physically. And mentally, it's massive as well. I think as all men, we mature in our late 20s maybe, late 20s.
Because it was a big question, wasn't it? We all watched it. I mean, we watched it when he drops Usyk and all the debate about low blow or whatever else. But there was an opportunity, wasn't there? From when I know Usyk got a lot of time to compose himself, and the argument was, well, what did the referee do? He gave him far too much time. He was either going to give him the right amount of time, which he didn't, or get him up when he should have got him up. And he did neither. He allowed him to have somewhere in the middle. But there was always this thought process that, OK, Daniel, fly out from the corner and go and deal with him. Now you've got him on the run. I mean, again, I asked the question, I've asked it of Dave, he's given an explanation as to what the maturity of a fighter does.
Yeah.
Do you think that circle's been properly squared now in Daniel's mind, that looks back on that and thinks, if I know now what I knew then, I'll do it, what I'm going to do next?
Absolutely. He said that himself, you know, that they've been over that. You know, he knows where he went wrong there. He sort of derailed in the corner himself. He lost all the motivation in that corner. You know, I think that he was there. He had Alexander Usyk right where he needed him. Forget the 4 or 5 minutes that Usyk stayed on the floor. He should have jumped on there and capitalised on that. And he should have stayed on him, and he didn't do that. And I think that...
Is that a belief, Spence? Is that like that? I mean, I remember the moment years and years ago, this is before Dave's time.
I think he just lost focus, Simon.
Well, let me frame the question. I remember years and years ago, and I went to the fight in 1989 when Frank Bruno hit Tyson. And he hits Tyson, gets him on the go, and everyone... I remember Harry Carpenter famously going, Frank, get in there. And it was almost as if Frank had hit him, realised he'd hurt him, and suddenly stopped and didn't have the natural inclination to go, wow, I've got him on the go, couldn't quite believe the situation. Do you think any of that played a part with Daniel, which is, I've hurt him, he's in trouble here, or is it just something different? I'm pulling out a string that's not really relevant.
No, I think that definitely there is some truth in that. I think that was definitely part of the reason. I think that Daniel went into that Alexander Usyk fight not believing in himself the way he believes in himself now. And when he was in there, he actually thought, hold a minute, I'm having my little moments in here. But like that was all happening whilst the fight was going on. And that was like, you know, so now he knows it and he's had time to process it, digest it. He now knows how to deliver.
You sparred him, didn't you? When was that?
I sparred Usyk October 2020.
Daniel,
I sparred Daniel. July 2016. I was sparring for the Dylan White fight. I did 4 rounds with Joyce, 4 rounds with Fraser Clark, and Rob McCracken said, we've got a young 18-year-old kid here, can you do the last 2 to make up 10? So I thought, sound, get him in. Daniel Dubois gets in the ring. Straight away I look at him and I think, bloody hell, that's not your average 18-year-old.
Yeah.
He hit me with a jab. I swear to God, he snapped my neck so far back I could see my ass. It was mad. He hit me that hard, honestly, my head, and I looked at him, I got through the next 2 rounds. I had to get through him. He was 18 years of age, and I had to get through him. I've never been hit that hard by a jab before or after.
Right.
He was just an absolute physical
specimen.
Yeah, unbelievable. Yeah. He was scary. But I do think now, this has caught up now as well.
Right.
So I think he's going to be a dangerous man against Usyk this time.
Well, you mentioned Joyce. I mean, last week, Daniel was talking about the impact of the Joyce defeat upon him. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
I've said there, you know, 27 years of age, you go back to, like, let's say, Joyce, when a lot of people were asking the question, you know, oh, did he swallow it, didn't he swallow it? You had a broken eye socket, and you effectively saved your own career by ending it the way you did then. But you've gone from strength to strength, really, since then. You've formed as a fighter and character as well.
Yeah. From that fight,
Did you learn a lot from that?
From that, yeah. Joe helped us a lot, didn't he? Without him, I wouldn't be where I am now.
Yeah.
So I like Joe. You know, all of those experiences, they just help make me the man I am today. So, yeah, good. You know, enough respect.
I mean, mindset's a big thing, and we'll perhaps talk to you about yours later on in the show. But what do you think's changed in Daniel Dubois since he's become a world champion?
I think it's just age and time, really, more than anything else. I think he's just developed, as we all do, with time. Things take time. The Joyce fight, people forget, I think it was 20... He'd be 23 at the time.
Yeah,
when I was 23, I was a kid. I was a baby.
I think he might have been even younger than that, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he got a lot of unnecessary stick at the time. He was 23 years of age. Joyce at the time was one of the most dangerous heavyweights on the planet. So, you know, like you said...
Did you think, when you saw the fight, 'cause I went to the fights, and a lot of noise came out, and people like David Hay had accused him of quitting. Yeah. When you saw that, was that your first reaction?
You know what? I thought he quit, but I understood it.
Right.
I understood why I understood why he quit. And for quitting for me is all about hitting your level. We've all got levels. We've all got different levels of toughness and how long we'll stay in there when things get hard. But when you've got a broken, you know, eye socket, orbital bone, whatever it may have been, and you're getting a stiff jab by Joyce round after round, there's only so much you're going to take. And like I say, he saved his own career really if he'd carried on. And for what? I thought sometimes I think quitting is more brave than staying in there and to the end.
Taking the right decisions, yeah. I mean, moving to the other side of the equation, which is Usyk, you've been in a training camp with him. We've got some footage of you sparring with him. How good is Usyk?
You know what? I think going back to what Spencer was saying earlier, like Dubois landed the punch here. This is great. Great watch. So you know, like you said, like Daniel hit him with that shot, and he never capitalised on it.
Yeah.
I sparred him for maybe 40 rounds in 2 weeks. I didn't hit him with one shot. Dubois might have, if that was a legal shot, I don't think it was. But good luck hitting him again. Hitting Usyk with 2 clean shots in 12 rounds is an unbelievable task. People don't understand how hard it is. I sparred him for 40 rounds in 2 weeks. I never hit him with anything clean. You
said you sparred with Daniel Dubois and you felt his power as an 18-year-old kid. He's obviously matured since then as well. He's got that power, isn't he? Like that one-punch power to take anyone out. So he only has to hit him the once. That's the point, isn't it, with Usyk?
I think he does, but as hard as he hits, that's how hard Usyk is to hit clean. Usyk is just... him and Tyson Fury, I would say, were the two best by far. There's a big gap between them two and number 3. But if Dubois hits anyone, he'll knock him out for sure, yeah.
Lots made of Usyk's training camp, and I remember speaking to certain members of Anthony Joshua's training camp, and they marvelled at what they saw after the fights. They're coming out of having lost the fight, and they're watching Usyk running like a fiend in the gym the next morning, and the disciplines and the way he lives his life. And it's always reported that he lives his life absolutely for the sport. You've been in the training camp. What's that environment like?
You know, it was during COVID, so we went to Kiev. We was locked away for like 2 weeks. I think it was the Ukraine Olympic training base. I lost 18 pounds actually.
Right.
So that shot you saw there, everyone, I was a bit weight trained. Right. I'll let everyone know. Okay. There's a good chance for me to tell everyone. But no, you know, he came in early, warmed up for about an hour. You know, after 10 minutes, after 1 minute, I'm ready to go. Wrap my hands, put my gloves on, I'm ready to spar. It took an hour, warmed up. He did the sparring, there were 3 or 4 sparring partners, he sparred us all. He then continued to train for like another 90 minutes maybe. He was just non-stop, relentless. He was doing the sparring, the bag work. He was doing maths equations while he was hitting the bag one day. It was mad to watch really.
Is it vastly different from anything else you've ever seen?
I would say so. You know, obviously I've been around all the gyms. Kid Galahad, you know, I train with him. I've never seen a guy train as hard as that, and numerous others as well. But Usyk, yeah, he just trained so hard and for so long. It was a weird thing to watch. Really. I was in the Klitschko training camp, and Klitschko was different.
In what way?
Klitschko trained differently. He didn't train as hard. I think Klitschko at that point was a lot older. He was near the end of his career. He did his swimming in the morning while we all ran. But one thing about Klitschko and Usyk was very similar in terms of they have the hands wrapped by someone would come in and wrap the hands before every session. Right. They're so professional. I've never seen professionalism like them.
And that's a long process as well, right? There's over an hour before.
We turn up and Klitschko would turn up an hour after us. It'd take an hour to wrap his hands, an hour to warm up. So we'd all be there, and I'd be starving. I bet 5 hours here. I'm ready to go now. So, but the professionalism from them two, yeah, unrivaled.
When you look at the Usyk journey, and you look at all the fights that he's been in, boys, and there's always been this potential writing down of Usyk because of the size parameters, that ultimately he's a cruiserweight coming up to heavyweights. You look at the size of heavyweights now. I know when we go back to the mid-70s, Muhammad Ali would have been, you know,
a light heavyweight.
A light heavyweight now. But we look at the generation of heavyweights that are now, they're all bigger. What is it about Usyk that is enabling him to win? Is it simply the technical expertise? Is it the mental application that he applies and ultimately wears his opponents down? What's making him come out of these fights in every instance victorious?
I left Ukraine and I didn't think he would go on and do what he did. He knocked me out on the last day of sparring, but even with that, I didn't think he'd be big enough. Right. I didn't think he'd be strong enough. I didn't think he'd hit it hard enough. I think the fights with Tyson Fury, his engine was too good. He's just relentless.
But technically, you must have thought he would have been good enough because so much made of the angles he creates and the manner in which he fights.
Yeah, I thought technically he's an Olympic gold medalist, you know, cruiserweight world champion. I didn't think he'd have the physicality, but his engine is unbelievable. That for me at heavyweight, he's just too fit for everyone.
Which is what Tony Bellew said, didn't he? When Tony fought him. Did Tony fight him at heavyweight or cruiserweight?
No, cruiserweight.
Yeah. And Tony said, you think you're in the fight with him, and then he goes up another level and you can't go with him.
He's unbelievable.
And fit. Joshua said that as well. Joshua said, like, when they went into that round 10 and, you know, Joshua's coming out the back of that and the fight is, like, quite close at that stage, he said, like, he just turned a screw and upped it another level that he just couldn't compete with. He said, like, those last few rounds, them penultimate rounds, he said he was just, like, another level, and that's what makes him different.
So, when you look at the fight, what sort of fight do you expect and who are you calling for?
You know what? I've been calling for Dubois to win. I think Dubois...
Is that because you think he can win or is it because you want him to win?
I think... No, you know, Alexander Usyk and I got on really well. He gave me his jacket once. He gave me a coat. It was nice. It was nice of me.
You might ask for that back.
No, I gave it to my dad. My dad won't give me it back. I think he's going to sell it soon. I just think it's about timing, really. Alexander Usyk, nearing 40. He's not physically... He's not a heavyweight. I don't think he's a heavyweight at all. I think he's still...
Despite beating legitimate heavyweights like Tyson Fury,
yeah,
who are real
I don't think he's a heavyweight. I really don't. I think he could do cruiserweight still now. I just think it's the timing. Daniel Dubois is getting better and better all the time. And I just think this is the right time for Daniel Dubois to beat Usyk.
Well, the question was answered. I mean, about the thing about beating Anthony Joshua was everyone knew that he could potentially beat Anthony Joshua. It's whether he could execute the outcome. Yeah. And I think the same situation will manifest itself, whether he can execute all the best laid plans of Don Charles on Alexander Usyk, knowing all that we know about Usyk. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Fascinating fight.